Hello, hello. How's it going, y'all? Happy Thursday. All right. Game dev. Game dev time. We're back to it.
I gotta tell you, it ain't gonna be cheap, but the results are not guaranteed.
All right. So, here we go. We're working on our cutaway system still. I think we're very close to being done. I really hope so. I think we're trying one last method here. I'm eating a bit of a snack. Apologies. Got a dentist appointment in a few hours, so, I'm, eating an apple. To convince them of how healthsome I am. They'll see little bits of apple in my teeth, and they'll be like, here's someone who eats apples. They must be doing a good job. All right, so I had this loop based on the cursor coordinate z. So what we're going to do is we're going to change this because we need to do an initial loop I think we need to split this out so that we can handle for the case of z equals cursor chords.z. I think we need to handle that separately because the behavior for that is different, and we might not even go into the loop if z happens to equal, if cursor chords.z happens to equal 0. So let's just say for cursor chords.z is greater than 0. Then we can do this. Why is it that no IDE can correctly manage tabs when you're moving code around? I've never seen an IDE correctly predict where the tab should be. The spaces or whatever. Kind of funny when you think about it. I guess we could do it this way. Plus -1, I guess. So we'll do one loop at the initial Z level, and then we're going to essentially go up from there towards the camera. All right, and this is the part when we're going to disqualify certain things from being included. So what we want to do is we want to wait and we want to see if... So we've already done the block mask step. And the block mask step, like where we actually make the mask, that's the part where we kind of go in, we figure out... Figure out what compartments we want to be involved in this. So we know the cursor parts, but we also know the mask. The mask tells us... So hold on a second. Does the mask include the adjacent parts? Wait, what? Block mask dot... Oh no, the mask is a set of coordinates, not a set of compartments. Okay, so we just need to find the coordinates in the block mask. That's super easy. I don't even know if we want to record the parts. I don't even think we need to know what the parts are, the compartments. So we can just say if block mask dot contains block chords. So if it doesn't, then we just continue. Otherwise... So what we want to do here is we want to cut this block away, but only if one of the blocks behind it, only if both of the blocks behind it are part of the mask. If they aren't, we want to leave those blocks in place. That way the back walls stay up. So we'll say, we can say if block mask dot contains... Oh, we don't want the block. We want the coordinates. I guess we can just say negative x coords. we only use this once, we can we don't actually have to define these this way. I don't actually want the block, I just want this set of coordinates. So let's say negative x coords. And otherwise, we're going to say block mask. We're going to say cutaways. You just say cutaway.add. Let's make a new one of these. So I'm just going to have cutaway singular. That way the old system can continue to work while we plug in the new system. Which I prefer. I prefer to do it that way. And we only do this exception thing for the initial layer. We only look at the neighbors and do this exception with the first layer. All the layers above that, they just get straight up cut away. Can we just say block coords equals, well, so what do we want to do here? So we actually want to subtract the offset, don't we? Because, yeah, we want to subtract the offset. Say minus new vector 3i 1 0. Well, the 1 1 0 we could actually leave. We could say vector 3i offset. We could say new vector 3i 1 1 0 times this. And so we could say block coords is that. And then we could say if not, block mask.contains block coords minus the offset. Continue, otherwise add block coords minus the offset. All right, and so this is going to tell us which blocks we want to cut away. We're going to say cutaway.clear. Cursor parts, yeah, we don't need to know the parts at this phase. Do we also not need to know the block then either? Cool. We just need to know the coordinates. We need to redefine the start and end each time. Instead of cursor.z, it needs to just be z. All right, so this should give us a list of blocks to cut away. The actual tie, here's the part where we actually start breaking stuff, I think, in a way that causes things to not work until we fix it. And I hate that, and it always scares me when I do that. But, you know, it's unavoidable. It's unavoidable. I just get nervous that someone will come in and be like, oh, what does the project look like right now? And I'm like, well, you know, it's broken. We broke it on purpose. All right, so where are we even going to do this? So we're going to do this because right now our cutaway system goes by tile. And in fact, we actually need a new cutaway tiles by cursor chords function that works on blocks. We need a private void cutaway blocks by cursor chords. We need this because you're not always going to be mousing into a compartment. And if you're not mousing into a compartment, we just need to cut away by the coordinates. There's really nothing else we can do. How do I want to iterate? Probably just through the AABBs. Or in the AABB singular. Blocks.aabb. Oh, we call this cursor now, don't we? Cursor chords. I could do this. I could do the start and end index thing. Why do I do it this way? Oh, it's so I can just only search through a single layer at a time. Like we could do that too here, but I also don't know if I care. And I don't think it actually applies here, so we're not going to do that. So we're going to say for each block chords. We will have an, do I actually care about where the cursor is when we do this, when we do it this way? No, I don't think so. We actually kind of want to just do what we're already doing. Except right now we're working on keys. So let's just copy this over for now. So we're comparing block chords. So everywhere it says key, we're replacing that with block chords. I'm gonna keep all this commented out code in case I decide I like this and we go back to using it. So we can't do this layer-based check. That's fine. We're going to move that layer-based check down into the tile generator. And chords gets replaced with cursor chords. Excuse me. I don't know if I actually want to do it this way, but no, let's do it. Let's do it. This is what we've already got. So cutaway.add block chords. Okay, so now we're cutting away blocks. So we're going to rename this cutaway blocks by compartment mask. I just say compartment. This is going to be mask blocks by compartment. Or is it by cursor chords? Cursor compartment? I don't know. This arguably doesn't need to be a separate function. But it might as well be. It's big enough. There's enough going on there where I feel like that's reasonable. So we'll mask the blocks. And we'll then cut away the blocks by that mask. If that doesn't happen, then we'll cut away blocks by cursor chords. So this actual check inside here is redundant. This if not block cannot contains cursor chords. Well, no, that is a valid check, I guess. Who is responsible for clearing the cursor or clearing the cutaway? Probably not any one of these functions. The mask, sure. All right, excuse me. I'm having some allergies. Okay, so this seems pretty much ready. Now it's time to break stuff. I already have a cutaway blocks by compartment. We really need to clean up this file later. We're doing a lot right now. Generate. Did I even copy over the right stuff? Yeah, I did. Okay. So generate tile cell data. This is where most of the work is happening. It happens after we've generated the keys, which are all the tiles that we need. So where we create the tile is here. So we make a new tile. Make a new tile. We don't say anything about it, really. No, we use the key. Okay, so if we were to make this tile here, we need to know that the tile is actually needed. How do we know that the tile is actually needed? It needs to be down here in the layer type stuff. So we can include a continue. So we already have a continue for If the hull's middle. Okay, so here's our cutaway check, and not cutaway.contains. So we can do the cutaway contains thing. But what's going to matter is whether... Oh. I see. I see what's going on there. So let's start with this. So deck Z is the tile that represents the top. So there's X, Y, and Z. So the tile Z, if it's a middle hull piece, which means it's like smooshed against a wall, like there's a wall on top of the floor, we want to render it, except we don't want to render it in two cases at least. One case is that we are cutting... actually, I guess we don't want to render this in any... We want to say if cutaway contains this block, we can just say key.xyz cutaway contains xyz. We want to say if... So if we've designated this coordinate as a cutaway coordinate, but we also need to make sure that key.z is not equal to cursor. Oh, do I not have the cursor defined? Okay, let's define that. Vector 3i cursor awards. Game.input.cursor coords. So the trick is, if the key.z is equal to the cursor coords, then we still want to render this probably. I don't know if I have this quite right. I need to think about this for a second. So if we're the middle piece, if we're not the middle piece... Oh, there's actually a couple of checks that need to go in here. So if we're not the middle piece, we probably want to render. But we don't want to render if this is marked for cutaway and... we're not part of the same Z level as the cursor. If we're part of the same Z level as the cursor, we want to keep the floors. Even if we're cutting away the walls, we want to keep the floors underneath. We want to keep those rendering. But if we're on a level above the cursor chords, we want to get rid of the floor. So... So the continue means we don't create the tile. So actually this should be more like an... should be like, we don't want to render this if... I don't know if we care about what hull type we are. I think we only care about whether the cutaway has this block. I might need to express this as multiple things. So I'm gonna express what we want when we want to cut away, because I have an easier time doing that, I think. So we want to cut away if the hull is middle, and the cutaway contains this, and the key.z is not equal to cursor coords. This is when we do want to cut it away. Or is there another condition that we want to cut away? Yes. which is if we're the hull, the middle hull. This isn't right. That's not right. We're going to loop back to that real quick. I'm going to work my way from the base, which is from deck layer X. This is like a forward-facing tile on the X-axis. So we don't want to render it if it's a middle hull. We don't want to render it in any case if it's a middle hull, unless the tile in front of it is being cut away. If the tile in front of it is being cut away, we do want to. All right, so here's, I think we need to lay out a number of different categories and then we can just work through them. So if cutaway dot contains key.xyz and key.z is not equal to, or actually it would be if key.z is less than cursor towards .z. Then we want to cut that away. If the hull dot middle, if our hull is the middle, is a middle hull, which means it's like smooshed up against another tile, we don't want to render it unless the cutaway, unless we're also cutting away the floor layer in front of it. And key.z is not equal to, well, hold on. If we're the middle hull, but we're cutting away the floor in front of it. Ah, no, it still matters. And key.z is less than cursor towards .z. So both of these require, so we can say if key.z is less than cursor towards .z, then we'll consider both of these things. Let me continue. Oop. Also, if this doesn't have to be like the most efficient way to express this. I just want to get the expression down. So is there any condition when we would cut away when key.z is equal to or greater than cursor towards? No. Because we're a part of the floor. Okay, that's straightforward. And then I think deck Y would operate the same way with just the offset changed. And then let's get back to deck Z here. So is it the same crucial kind of check, which is that if we're less than this, we go. Otherwise, if no, here it's a little differently. So here it's, so if we're cutting away, and key is less than. So here we just need to check this. Are we a middle hull? Are we cutting away our own tile? And no. And not cutaway.contains. Doesn't matter what Z layer we're on. Hey, Fusionist, how's it going? You're wiped out, you say? Busy week. Hey, Ottermate Games. How's it going? How have you been? Welcome into the chat. What have you been up to? All right, so we want to block this. We want to cut this tile layer out. If it's the middle hull, and we're not cutting away this tile, so if we are cutting away this tile, obviously we want to, you know, do that. Contains e.xyz. Unless and p.z is less than cursor coords.z. So that's an easy case. That's an easy reason. The other reason we might want to cut away is if we're not. Well, I guess it doesn't matter if we are. Yeah. If we're not cutting away. If we're the middle hull and we're not cutting away. So I can presume that at least one of these is not true, but the problem is I can't presume that both of them. Well, I can presume that both of them are not true, because if they were, we would have continued already. But I don't know which of them are not true. Fusionist, you're scoring your games trailer. You're finalizing SFX for it. Oh, that's awesome. Please share the trailer when it's done. It's going to drag on through the day, sadly. I think it's going to be awesome, probably when it's done, though. Otter, it's good. You're just doing some game dev. You're just doing some dev there. What you working on? So I'm working on what I call the cutaway system, and it's the system that, because we have these fully formed 3D ships that are sealed, you know? You see the whole thing from the exterior, but you can mouse into them with your cursor, so you can like peer into them. And we've tried a bunch of different approaches for how to like peel away the layers in the way that balances the needs correctly. We've done some methods that are like really narrow tunnels into where you're pointing, and we've done other methods where you just like cut away like a quarter of the ship, like huge portions of the ship. And so I'm trying a method that's like kind of in between, where it's not like it gives you enough view into where you're looking that you have some context of what's going on inside the ship without just cutting the whole thing away so you can't see all the fun stuff on the outside or all the cool details. So we're trying a middle ground approach, and I'm just kind of coding up some of the logic for it right now. Mega cool problem to solve. Yeah, it's so far the problem to solve is how do you peer into a sealed 3D object that consists of all these tiles in a way that's satisfying. It's harder than regular isometric because of the perspective. Hope the method works. Yeah, I hope so too. Thank you. Because we're doing dimetric instead of isometric, the obfuscation problem is much harder. With isometric, each block only really blocks the one block in front of it. But with dimetric, each block can block 3 blocks in front of it, so it gets kind of rough. So there's a lot more potential issues because of the way this works here. Like this, I guess. You can get a lot of obfuscation issues pretty quickly. So we want to cut this block away, obviously, if we're trying to cut it away. Do I actually have that written down up here? Oh, I wrote this wrong. We want a knot here. Because if we're a middle hull, like there's another block in front of us, and that block is not being cut away, then we can just continue because we don't need to render it. We can actually do this a little differently. So if cutaway contains, if maybe cutaway contains is obviously the the thing that should be the overarching thing that we're checking here. So we say if cutaway contains, and we can say if so we say if hull is a middle type hull and we're not cutting away contains key.xyz plus vector 3i dot right. Continue there as well. This is better. That seems like the obvious thing to have as the initial check. And then we can add in all the categories here. It's a little easier to think about. So this is the same as this, just with a different axis. All right, and then let's do the same thing here. So for the Z, the cutaway dot contains okay, this is where we put this part. So we don't have to worry about the key.z being less than cursor coordinates case. We just need to worry about what if it's the same. Here we want to say hull is equal to hull.middle. If we're at a hull middle and we're not cutting away our own block, then we can also skip this one. All right, that's simple. That's simpler. I'm starting to think with blocks here. All right, so the bulk X. So we'll start with the simple case, which is cutaway.contains e.xyz. This isn't right. We want to say if blocks. Do we have access to the block buffer here? I don't think we do. We could say if holes.contains and holes.contains key.xyz plus keys.xyz with w, or we could say key with w equals int tile dot layers dot I want to know about the block. Oh no, if the hull is equal to the middle, duh, I'm dumb. So we can say if the hull contains our block and if key.z is less than cursor chords, we want to cut away this block. Otherwise, if our hull is a middle block, we also want to cut it away. That's simple. Okay, I think I got that. Similarly, I did this wrong. Thought I had it. I want to flip this again. Otherwise, so if if we're a middle hull, but we ourselves are not being cut away, but the block across from us is being cut away. And we want to do this either way. However, if key.z is equal to cursor chords, I could actually make this say not equal to cursor chords. If it is equal to cursor chords, this one's tough. This one's tricky. These floor pieces. Thomas, what are you trying to solve right now? I'm just working out the different combinations. We're writing out the rules. We're writing out based on the decision whether to cut away a certain block or not, what the rules are for not rendering specific tiles. Because we have two different representations of things. We have the block, which a block is a 3D space, and a block consists of an upper part and a lower part. The upper part is like a wall sort of deal. The lower part is like the floor. But each of those parts are made up of individual tiles. So like this is the X facing wall tile. This is the Y facing floor tile. This is the Z facing wall tile. There's also a Z facing floor tile that I just didn't draw in here, but I probably should. Like, I guess it would be like in here somewhere. So we're just working out all the different reasons why we would cut away a tile or not. It's kind of complicated because tiles have hull types associated with them. So they have like this dark color represents their like interior, like their like if you smooshed it up against another tile, we get this. We have this big complicated auto tiler basically. And I'm changing it the way it I really don't like how this looks, but it seems consistent. Oh, this isn't consistent. This should actually be up by one, which will look better, so I'm glad. There we go. That's better. So yeah, we're working out the rules for all these. In fact, I could even color this one to show that it's different. There we go. So like here's the middle hull. This tile doesn't need to be rendered if there's a wall above it, unless this block is being cut away and it's on the same level as the mouse cursor. So there's like all these different like conditional rules, and I'm just working through all of them. It's kind of tedious. But I appreciate you hanging out, hopping in. I know this isn't the most riveting stream we've had. Hope you're having a good day as well. So we'll say, so for the deck X is this one. No, it's this one. It's the floor piece. It's the X facing floor piece. We render this unless if the block it's in is designated to be cut away and its Z index is less than the cursor's, then we will cut it away. If it is, whether or not it's been designated to be cut away, if its hull type is a middle type and we are not cutting away the block that's in front of it, if we are cutting away the block in front of it, ugh. All right, so for middle hull tile, if we're not cutting the block away in front of it, then we don't need to show it. If we are cutting away the block in front of it, but our Z coordinate is the same as the cursor's Z coordinate, then we Still don't need to render it. So could this be an or? So if we're a middle hull type, but either of these conditions hold, then we don't need to render it. Episode 200 soon. Hey, Steuben Hawker. Yeah, it's going to probably be next Tuesday. We'll probably hit episode 200 on Tuesday, which is pretty cool. The music stopped. When did that happen? I have a bad feeling it was a while ago. I've been so locked in, I haven't been paying attention. I'm gonna need a snack real quick. Don't mind me. right, so if key.z is equal to cursor.z, and the hull is not a middle hull, no, and the hull is a middle hull. No, we don't want to cut that away. Okay, I had it right before. So the thing is, if the cutaway contains key.xyz, so if we are a middle hull, if our hull is a middle hull, we don't need to render it. We only need to render it if the cutaway contains our block and the key. We could say if hull is equals hull.middle and key.z is not equal to cursor.z. Because if it is equal and we're cutting away, we could say if hull equals, we could say this, we could say else. Okay, no, we know that's not true. It's the both of these cases that's the problem. Why am I having such a hard time with this? It was easier to do this per tile, but... Or when I was doing the logic somewhere else. I don't know why I'm having a hard time doing it out here. Or doing it in the generation step. Okay. So if we're we've designated this block for a cutaway. Great. I think this, I have to go back to having this be a separate evaluation. Here we go. There we go. I think that's it. I think we need an else if. Yeah, it can't just be an if, it has to be an else if. All right, got that sorted finally after 1,000 years. All right, so if cutaway contains this block, key is less than cursor Z, sure. If our hull is a middle hull, so if we've designated this for cutaway, but we're on... Oh, I need another else if here, I think. Cutaway contains the bulk X. We just cut it away. Continue. None of this Z is less than cursor stuff. And we say this is where we can do the else if. So if we're not cutting it away, we don't need the else if. We just need to take this whole statement, move it out. Okay. Where do I reference this tile? I kind of don't want to generate this tile until later, if I can avoid it. Can I just say new tile, key? Can I just not define this tile? So here I just need to say key.w. Okay, great. So we only define the tile if we get to the end. That's good. That's better. Hey, Anonymous. How's it going? All right, we're almost here. We just need to define one more case. So bulk Z. Bulk Z. Yeah, you just cut that away all the time, right? Otherwise, if hull equals middle hull, and we're not cutting away vector 3i dot forward. Oh, it's got to be cut away, and it can't be key. It has to be key dot xyz. All good? How am I? I'm doing all right. We're working through the next cutaway model we're doing. Oh, what about doors? Oh, shoot. When do we skip a door? Door... We'll just say... if cutaway dot contains xyz continue. I don't know what else to do for a door. I think that's the only logic that a door needs. Let's actually do this check first and then define the door tile. All right, let's try this. I'm sure it's gonna break. So what do I need to do? I need to... We can skip the whole compartment hierarchy thing. Don't need that. But instead what we want to do is we want to say... We want to know about the cursor coords here, I think. Cutaway blocks by... We want to say mask blocks by cursor compartment. Send in the merging blocks. I think this is going to work weird using the merging blocks. I don't think it's going to work quite right in the editor. So we might not actually be able to use this view in the editor. But that's fine, because this view will be really useful in play mode. Let's say cursor compartments. What do you want? Oh, you want mask parts. What do you need that for? You don't. You don't use it for anything. Well, then why am I bothering to generate this if we don't use it? Why am I returning this bit set? Oh, we need it. But we don't use it after, so we don't need this part. Get rid of the return. Change this to a void. Oop, oop, oop. All right, this is kind of dumb, but this should work. We basically just need to back up in case either there is no block. Actually, I guess emerging blocks try get cursor chords turns out to be false. We just don't do that. We don't need this initial else. We do need to clear the cutaways. All right, moment of truth here. I don't think it's going to work, but, you know, we'll at least hopefully get an idea of why. If I go down here, okay, I still get the nice behavior I get for the editor. And honestly, the editor might have to work this way kind of permanently. Okay, things are happening. They're wrong. They are happening. I can't really tell what the system is doing. It's not actually showing me. What if we do this one level down? Okay, that's weird. Now we gotta try to evaluate where this problem is occurring. It doesn't seem to be hiding the foreground walls or the ceiling stuff as we would expect it to. And so now the fun part is to figure out where in the chain that is failing. It could be, we basically did 3 things. So it could be in any one of those 3 areas. That's fine, we got time. We got time to debug this. So it could be when we are masking the blocks. We don't need the try get, but I guess it's fine to have the safety check there. So we get our cursor chords. First thing we do is we make one pass through I guess let's check here. So we'll turn this into a debug.write line. We'll try to figure out which compartments. I'm going to just turn on the other cutaway system for now so we can just debug and actually see what we're doing. Oh, I don't want to do it here. I want to actually be able to see the debugger. Having the in-editor execution now is so nice. That's such a nice addition to the engine. Oh, we do need to run the other code though, lol. So 1. Okay. Three. So that's 1 and 2. So the mask that we get at the end at least has the correct, but the coords that are getting added are wrong, I think. There's some failure here in the logic. We could generate an AABB and compare that with the room. It's probably a good idea. Let's do that. That's a good way to test this. So we can say AABB test bounds. It's going to be default. And then each time we're about to add a block, we're going to say test bounds dot enlarge by block coords.
Maximum warp.
Hey, no, Joel, maximum warp. I fixed the audio issues we were having yesterday with the sound effects. I'm glad they're working now. All right, so we don't need to debug this, because this seems to, the little bit field seems to be right, even though we aren't using it. I'm suspicious of why we aren't using it. I guess we don't need to because it has this whole mask. Oh, there was gonna be... I guess I accomplished it using the mask instead of the bit field. Debug.WriteLine. Test bounds. Let's say mask. So let's say, oh, this is this isn't actually going to be useful to me. Maybe it will be a little bit. Let's see. Let's say mask. Test bounds. And then what we're going to do is say part. We want to pass in... I don't know how to actually calculate this. Oh, here. Test 1 or test cursor. And then we'll have another one for the second pass. We'll say first pass. We'll have a separate AABB for the second pass. Actually, don't know if the second pass is any good for us right now. I actually don't think this test is going to do anything for us. So I'm going to get rid of it. No, Joel, you also wanted to add more sound effects someday? Yeah, I do. I just haven't had time. Or, you know, I also haven't sourced them. But yeah, I would like to add some, like, maybe some, like, TNG sound effects. Hey, Rhiannon Journey. How's it going? So the issue is we're not... Oh, I see well, I don't know if I see exactly what's happening, but I definitely see part of what's happening. We're doing these neighbor checks, and we have this carve out here of if bit.hasOnly pause xblock.parts or pause yblock.parts continue. Well, hold on, we've already added this block. Not bit.has any block parts cursor parts. Problem is we're not like erasing the front parts, the walls in front of the compartment. And I'm trying to understand why those walls are not being included in the mask. Oh, well, I just thought of another way in which this is probably not working. So when we do the actual cutaway and we do the offset should actually be... If not block mask dot contains block coords minus offset. Yeah, this has to be... You have to have this. This. And then this. Right? It should be Z minus cursor coords, right? We should flip it for this one, for this purpose, because we're subtracting. Well, let's see if that does something for us. So if I make like a stack, let's make this decent stack here. Let's make a 3 or 4 stack or something. I just start making rooms. Okay, it's behaving better. It's erasing all of them instead of just the front ones. It's not doing the Z part correctly. Okay, but we're getting somewhere. Okay, well, these back pieces should not be getting considered. So we gotta figure out why that's happening. And that should be occurring during the actual cutaway part here. Oh, I said plus. Oopsies. Should have been minus. Oh, no, plus is correct because we're adding a negative. So... view absolute, if block mask dot contains oh, it's either of the no, it's both. It's both. Okay, we're back to this not working. Oh, it's doing the opposite of what I want. That's interesting. It's keeping the front walls in place, but hiding the back walls. So I just need to figure out where I've flipped this and flip it back. It's not doing the Z stuff correctly, though, either, which is a problem. Like, it's not extending the mask upwards correctly. But one thing at a time. How about? But it looks like the mask is being built correctly. We're not executing the cutaway correctly. So if block mask contains these chords and these chords, I mean, I guess the easiest thing to do would be to just flip these and see if that's correct. That doesn't feel like that should be correct, but that's the most obvious issue. Or that's the most obvious thing. If it looks like it's backwards, just turn the input around, I guess. Even if that doesn't make sense. You can try to figure out why that doesn't make sense in a second. Or why that would be the correct thing when it doesn't seem like it. I don't know why I'm making the stacked version of this. We don't need it. Because the stacked mask is not working. Okay, so that fixed that, which is perplexing. How is that the case? So we're looking forward. What happens if I start drawing in here? Okay, well that seems to be correct. What if I flip it back and I do the same thing? All right, I'm just gonna draw one layer because one layer is all we need right now. Okay, so now it's doing the thing backwards, but what happens if I draw something in here? Oh, it's being super weird about it. Okay. Okay, so somehow it needs to be the other way around, even though it does not make any sense to me that that is the case. Oh, is it because this is not... It's because block chords is not absolute. I need to do that on a different pass. Or I need to think about how to make that. We're not passing in relative coordinates. Because we're going based on the cursor coordinates are relative coordinates. The block coordinates are absolute. That's why. That was a local versus global coordinate thing, I think. So if I do it like this, this should work now. I hope. Nope, still backwards. Huh. Okay. I don't know. Literally makes no sense. So if block mask can... So these are positive coordinates, not negative coordinates. And so we're checking. Why would checking the positive coordinates yield to the correct behavior? Maybe the problem is here. Nope. Still wrong. Okay, finally got the right behavior that I want. Cool. Can I add back the blocks dot AAVB dot view absolute? That doesn't really make sense, does it? Not at this phase. Okay. So it's working now within one level. Huzzah! Yeah, thanks, Rihanna Journey. We stumbled into it. Into a solution there. So the problem though now is there's no Z anything happening. The ceiling above this should be getting rendered away. But it's not happening. So that's our next challenge. But this is cool, and this should... Oh, Uh-oh. We don't want that. We want interior walls to be oh, is that just... Nope, that's behaving super weird. Okay. We have to figure out how to get interior walls to render correctly. Ah. So yeah, I want to define this differently. So if not block mass.contains or no, it's the opposite of what I want. I want to say so this doesn't make sense to me. I instead want something like if both of these are contained, then we should continue. But this is exactly I want exactly this. I don't know. I want exactly this. Maybe it'd be easier to just define what gets cut away. What if we define it this way instead? Hey, Pheasant SC2. Subscribing at tier 1 for the 9 months. That's amazing. Here, I got something for you here. Can I play this?
You're out of your Vulcan mind, Spock.
I appreciate that. All right, so we're going to swap these to positive coordinates. We're going to try this with the positive y coordinates. We're going to say if either of the coordinates in front of you are no good, then cut away. That's not exactly what I want. But I think that's how we have to phrase this. I could do a check here. So we could compare all 4 coordinates, and that would allow us to deal with the corners. I don't want to include the edge. Hold on. Let's just try this for a second. Make sure that we're starting with the correct behavior. So we go down here, make our little room. So this is kind of correct, but I don't like what it's doing with the corner here. These little corner pieces should not be getting cut away. So I just need, and this is the right way to do it because this way the interior walls inside the compartment aren't cut away. So to undo this, we would need to say, so if there's a missing one, so if one of the two, so if either of the front and both of the back ones. Okay. So it's going to be if negative x coords, well, if block mask dot contains negative x coordinates and block mask contains negative y coordinates, and not, and one of these is, oh, too many parentheses. All right, I think this is right. If it is, I'll get rid of those assignments there. Not that it matters. All right. So we should see the same thing, but without those little corner pieces taken away. Is what I'm hoping we will see. Okay, one of the corner pieces was correctly kept in, but the other one is still being removed for some reason. Why? Did I just define the wrong thing? Oh. I need exactly one of these. We may need to invert the conditional. Because it needs to be exactly one of these that's missing. So maybe we go back to doing the... Let's do it like this. So let's do this. Let's invert the if. We'll double check to make sure that's working. Okay, that's working so far. And now I just want to make sure that one of these... So we can say, if both of those are the case, or not block contains negative x coords, or block contains negative y coords. Okay, now we're back to like crazy town here. Why is that so weird? I expressed this wrong. Oh, there needed to be a knot here. All right, now we got it. So it's skipping the little corner pieces, and it's rendering the interior walls. It hides it when the cursor goes past it, but that's because the cursor is instructed to do that. Okay. So that's good. So now what we need to do is we need to figure out why the upper Z, the stuff above us is not being cut out. So, but we've got the mask working on the specific layer that it's meant to, so that's good. Okay, halfway there. So we can get rid of these placeholder names. I might leave them. I don't know. I don't tend to like defining values or variables unless I'm using them more than once, but you know, sometimes it's just kind of nice to have the shorthand. I think I'm gonna do it like this. I think I might do it like this. It looks a little weird, but so it's if this and this, or this, or this. I think that's reasonable. All right, so let's try to understand why the higher Z levels aren't working. And no, it's not because I'm going down. All right, let's compare the cursor to the offset and make sure I'm not messing that up completely. Not in here, though. Cursor, 45, 40, 44, 45, 1. -3, -3, -1. So we take, I guess the cursor doesn't matter, it's just the offset. So when we look at a coordinate up here, what we're supposed to be doing is we're supposed to check, we want to check the block mask that is -3, -3. Ooh, not -1 though. We want to check +1. That's what we want to check. That probably has something to do with it. Let's see. Let's see what we get now. Still not the right thing. Let's disable the other cutaway thing. Or at least only have it run when it's supposed to run. So I think that might be messing things up because it does write into the same thing. Okay, no, it's not negatively affecting that. What if we go down another level? Does it do anything? Doesn't matter. Okay, it's doing something. It's wrong, but it's doing something. I see what it's trying to do. Why is it skipping a level would be my question, I guess. What if I asked a simpler question? What if I asked block coords plus vector 3i dot back forward back times z? No, times cursor coords minus z. Let's forget about the horizontal and vertical x offsets. Let's just like see if we can make it work with just one, with just the z offset. So that would be sufficient enough for me to see. So that's like not doing anything. What if we go one more level down? Okay, that's doing something. Still very weird. What if we go more levels down? Okay. What if we go more levels down? It'd be interesting to see if it's doing it only on like an every other basis or something. It is. Why? And why is it drifting? I haven't asked it to drift. So it's only working on every other one. So... Oh, no, I'm redefining start and end. With z equals z. Cursor chords dot z minus 1. Okay. Z is less than or is greater than or equal to 0. Sure. Z minus minus. Well, hold on. Should be z is greater than 0. Because we shouldn't go through a z minus minus if it's 0. No, that was correct. So are we still using offset? Oh, we're still using offset. Cutaway.add plus. Oopsies. Let's just try this and see what this does. This should be pretty aggressive now. Oh, now it's just being super weird. Why is it back to doing this now? Hold on. What is block chords? Oh, I see. Forget about the offset. All right, there we go. It's close. This is very close. If we go multiple layers down, that should be fine. I'm just messing up the offset, is what I'm doing. Okay. Oh, I wanted to see what happens if I go the other way. So what if I make this like big layered thing? Say like 4. Let's say I make a few compartments. Okay. Let's say I try to cut out this one. Okay, that seems to be working correctly. It's doing what we asked it to do, which is good. Get rid of this debug. All right, so offset. Let's fix the offset. So let's say Z offset. Let's just say Z offset is this. So the Z offset is good. Now we got to rebuild. We got to build back in the XY offset. Well, let's just pass in Z offset by itself. See what that does. This is probably going to be wrong. I just want to see the direction in which it's wrong. So then I'll know if I need to go the other way. Okay. Yeah, so we want to go the opposite way. I'm going to say negative Z offset, negative Z offset, Z offset. Okay, this is looking better. If we start adding like other compartments. Interesting how that has no effect. Oh no, I guess it wouldn't, would it? It would only have maybe an effect if I did this. Ooh, that's a little ugly. Why is it doing that? Oh, I think I understand why it's doing that. Should not be. I need to be a little bit more careful about sampling. Oh lord, yeah, that shouldn't be allowed. Huh. It's heading in the direction I want. It shouldn't be doing this either. I think I see what the problem is. When it's sampling, it samples behind itself. It needs to not sample the blocks behind it, but let's not worry about that exactly right now. So I think this is supposed to be negative Z offset times 3. Let's see if that's true. And we'll just check with a single room, because it's clear we need to fix some of the multi-room logic. We can get this at least working for a single room. I'll be reasonably pleased with our progress for today. Okay, almost there. That's too tight. It's disorienting. We do times 2. We're going back to something that's fairly similar to an earlier approach we used. Excuse me. But it's going to be more sophisticated. It has a higher potential. But it's close. We need to close though. The thing I'm concerned about is like what if there's like rooms in front of this room, right? Like what if it's like this? That's a little weird. Okay, that's kind of working. The thing in the back, don't worry about that. That shouldn't be possible. Like this kind of thing. That shouldn't be happening. That's fine. That's a masking issue that we can fix separately. This kind of works the way I would want it to. Kind of. But yeah, we need to change. So we need the Z offset needs to be that. The X offset needs to be cursor coords dot Z minus Z plus 1 maybe. Be this times 3 times negative 2. I don't know. Let's call this H offset. This can be V offset. I think I want to delay the horizontal offset by like 1 tile, which I think might actually cause a problem. In which case we actually have to widen the mask as we go up. Which I don't exactly want to do, but it would work. Oh, I forgot to do this layer. Let's do one more, just for fun. Okay, plus 1 is the wrong direction. I think I need to go minus 1. Interesting. All right, I'm gonna add in a little barrier, or a little boundary here, a little buffer. So when we go up the first level, we stay at the same level, and then when we go up a level from that. No, I want it to be 1, don't I? All right, well, we're gonna just try this anyway, see what this looks like. What if we do it like this? Going the wrong direction seems to be what's happening. So it's supposed to be Z minus cursor chords. So the vertical offset goes in the opposite direction as the horizontal offset, is I think what I figured out. Which makes sense. Yeah, okay. That's close. Yeah, I think the problem with this, though, is that it's going to need to... It's going to need to come forward quicker. Yeah, this is kind of closer to what we had previously. The different system, but this system's a little more sophisticated because it's going to be able to tell what compartments are in front of other compartments. Right now it's looking backwards to determine what compartments are in front of another compartment, which is wrong. But once we get that sorted, I think this is a lot closer to what we want. So I know what we're working on tomorrow. We're going to fix this masking issue where we're looking backwards. I really only want to build the mask out of the compartment you're mousing in and the compartments in front of it. So it's like if it was this compartment, should only include this compartment. This compartment should include these two compartments. Technically, it should also include this compartment. It's kind of weird that it doesn't. Super weird that it doesn't. Okay, well, we're getting there. We're getting there. We're on our way. I need to wrap it up here, though. Like I said, I have a thrilling dentist appointment to go to. My favorite place to be. But I appreciate everyone hanging out with us. We'll be back tomorrow to hopefully finish this up, would be my hope, so we can finish this tomorrow and then move on to something else next week. But yeah. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And I will see you next time. Bye.